Hello everybody, my name is Sophie and welcome to another video. Today we're talking about Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I have of course read Caraval, the first book, and I didn't like it. I gave it 1 star. This book was a second chance that I was giving to Stephanie from the good of my heart, or however the fuck you say, and I gave it 1 star. Again, where even is it? I don't even have it here. I was matching it with my shirt. Well, that's not really matching, but I tried. My review was on Goodreads, of course. My Goodreads is at Honestly Sophie. Follow me, befriend me, I'll befriend you back. It said, I feel like Jax doesn't brush his teeth. Just because they were talking about his mouth a lot and eating. And I just feel like he does not have good personal hygiene. I did a reading vlog. You can go check that out. It will also be linked in the description box alongside with my Caraval review and also the Caraval reading vlog that I also have because it was in the subscriber special for 1,000 subscribers. Shout out to my subscribers. Also shout out to my members, my book hater members. Whoop whoop. I feel like I have to turn the energy up a little bit. I don't know. I feel the energy is not really there yet, but it will be. My members are Haley B, Ashley Ranger B, Mrs. Preminger, Trinity ELW, and Clara S. Peace and love. My members get early access to my videos, they get a shout out, and I also get to vote on my next reads. And I think the coolest thing is that you get to watch my videos a day early. And so it's the same with this. My members are seeing it a day early. And since I finished this book and I don't know what to read next, there's also going to be a poll by the time this video goes up for members for my next read, and I'm going to tell you the options, and then you can consider becoming a member. If you want me to read one of these really badly, you can vote for it. I'll tell you. On the list are Icebreaker, Neon Gods, I don't know the authors by the way, Powerless, which is a TikTok book, and then also I wanted to put Book Lovers by Emily Henry on it, but I decided to switch it up because I had a suggestion in the comments to read a different book. Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. And I didn't know that this book was a thing. I didn't know it released, but it got a ton of bad reviews and I kind of want to read it. So that's why I'm putting it on the poll and my members get to vote. And then whatever they vote for will be my next read. That's how it works. Peace and love. Now with this Once Upon a Broken Heart, I had it on a poll too. It was also voted for. Not sure why. And I wasn't particularly excited to read it. I was actually kind of afraid. I just knew that I didn't enjoy Caraval at all. Caraval. Sorry, I will say Caraval, just so you know. And while I was reading this book, a lot of the same criticism that I had for Caraval came up again. And these books were, in fact, published for year 3? 3 years apart. Or 4. Either or. Once Upon a Broken Heart has a 4.1 on Goodreads, which is good. It's over 4 stars. With 170,000 ratings. And it was published in 2021. Oh yeah, my review was, I don't think Jax brushes his teeth. I stand by that. That's a good review. Of course, I did my research, my due diligence. Big words right from the start. We gotta get into the flow. On researching Miss Stephanie Garber. Love you. She seems very sweet. She seems like a very nice woman. Very fun woman. Just like a normal lady writing some books for children. Well, yeah. She's from Northern California. She teaches creative writing at a private university, which I think a private university just means that it's not community college. I don't know American terms. I think it's just a normal university. It's just not community college, right? You have to pay for it. I mean, you also have to pay for community college, but less. Whatever. Fuck America. Peace and love. Peace and love. I don't mean that. Only if you believe it, I mean it. I don't know if she still teaches. I don't know. I couldn't find that out, but in her early interviews, she was always talking about it. Let me look. Let me look in the back. It doesn't say it. It doesn't say she's still teaching. Maybe she, gave up her job because she's a best-selling author. Fair enough. And then I was, of course, trying to figure out how old she was. Because I like doing that. And authors, for some reason, they don't really put their age out there. Only sometimes they do. From what I found out, she is 43 years old. And that's a good age. That's a strong age. She originally sold both Caraval and this series as a duology, and then after that she extended them to a trilogy, both of those series, because they both This is not starting very good. They both play in the same world, Caraval and this, okay? And you would be better off if you finished the Caraval trilogy before reading this book. Alas, I did not. And I was, I was doing fine. But just lore-wise and with the characters, because they make reappearances and whatever, these characters appear in the last book of Caraval and everything. It makes sense for you to read the other ones, the other multiple books. But I will not, because I don't think they're very good. That's why we're here today. Stephanie has also announced that she is now working on a new big project, totally different from Caraval and the Caraval world, but also the same. Because I don't really know why she said this. She was like, oh, it's a big new project. I'm already working on it. I think she said she's gonna announce it like a month or two after the next book, which comes out, the last book of this trilogy comes out in this October, 24th of October. And she said, like a month or two after, we're going to announce the next big project, and I'm not allowed to say anything about it yet, and it's totally different from Caraval, but it's also the same, because there's also a romance, and it's fantasy, and it's also fairy tale-esque, so I don't really know what she means. I'm not certain. So it is just the Caraval, but not in the Caraval world, or... Alas, we're excited. Not me, maybe you are. But she has talked about how she had a hard time publishing her books. She wrote like 5 books before eventually being able to find an agent, and that agent sending off Caraval to editors, and then she got Caraval published. But she was very discouraged, and she was working really hard, and she actually had to move in back with her parents to write her books. And honestly, if I told my parents like I want to write a book and I don't want to do anything else, I don't think they would let me move back in. I still live here. They would make me move out. But it's great. Being a published author is great, and a New York Times bestselling author is great. She seems like a very sweet person and very genuine, that's just super excited about her life. I just feel like the neck of this sweater is so big, it keeps going down. It's not supposed to look like this. It's just too big. Ugh. I wanted to look cute for once. Also, I have to apologize. Most videos that I film, I noticed, I looked at my videos, I filmed them on my hair is dirty. My hair is dirty, that's why it's put back. And I want to apologize. I don't want people to think that I don't wash my hair, but my videos always fall into hair washing days. And it's so much work to do the full hair routine with blowing out and everything. I just don't want to do it before the video. I do it after. Like, I record and then I'm sweating anyway. So this book, I don't know where I bought it and I don't know why I bought it. Peace and love. Like, I didn't even plan on reading this, but then someone said, oh, you should read it, it's different, and people say it's better. I don't really agree. There's, of course, some praise in the back. I think that this blurb, this is probably like the UK version, because from what I've noticed, the UK versions always have very long blurbs on the back, and the US versions don't. They have like very short back print on the books. Maybe that's saying something, demographic-wise, but alas. We have praise from Cassandra Clare, who I don't think read this book, if I'm being honest. A sugar-crusted, poison-spiked romp through a vibrant world of fairy tale intrigue, tangled romance, and forbidden magic. We need you to shut up. Carrie Maniscalco, who wrote Kingdom of the Wicked, said, an unput-downable fairy tale, and I did put it down multiple times, so that is not true. And Karen... who the fuck is she? Karen M. McManus said One of Us is lying. No, that's her book. She didn't say that One of Us is lying. She just wrote that book. A dazzling mix of mystery, romance, and magic. I think she is the one lying. Put down a bullet was not a dazzling mix, and sugar-crusted, poison-spiked. Cassandra, you're doing too much. I talked about this in my reading vlog. When I started reading this, I thought that this book, for no reason, I like making things up in my head. I'm in my head too much. I thought that this book was a prequel to the Caraval series, and that it was about the grandma, because there is a grandma in Caraval. But I did not think that she was the grandma from Caraval. I didn't remember that there was a grandma in Caraval. I thought it was the grandma from Kingdom of the Wicked, from the woman who gave the book that gave praise for this. I confused the two books a little bit. Like, I still knew what Caraval and blah, blah, but I thought that it was the prequel about the grandma, because the grandma plays a really big role in Kingdom of the Wicked. She's an important character. Well, whatever. She just gives the lore and everything. And so for some reason, I thought that This was about the grandma. And there is a grandma in Caraval. I googled it. But this is not her book. This is some random bitch called Evangeline. Let's talk about the book. We have Once Upon a Broken Heart. It takes place after Caraval, maybe. I don't know what the timeline is because I didn't finish Caraval. But this does contain spoilers. If you don't read Caraval first, this is spoiler for Caraval. So it takes place after. Oh my god, there's more praise. Ugh. Why is the same praise that is on the back in the front? Do we need a double praise? I don't understand. I hate praise. There's some food stains on here, you know. I was not treating this book very well. Bridget Camerara, who I also have beef with, said enchanting, intriguing, and delightfully whimsical. Everyone uses the word enchanting for this book, and I think listen, okay? I don't think that they read the books that they have to give praise for necessarily, and so I think they're just using random words that they associate with fairy tales. So the first chapter is not a first chapter, it's a prologue, and the title for it is Warnings and Signs. My dumbass thought that was a trigger warning page. I thought she was giving us like a content warning. Warnings and signs. It was not, it was the prologue. The premise is that Evangeline, the main character, I'm not sure how much I will say her name, honestly it's a long name. Her boyfriend is marrying her stepsister. And on the day of the wedding, she is so distraught, she is so besides herself that she goes and seeks out the Prince of Hearts, is his name. And he is known for his big penis, maybe. He's known for breaking hearts. No! I know what he's known for. You know too. He kisses people, and if they're not his one true love, they die. But one of the Caraval bitches allegedly was his one true love and didn't die when they kissed, but she still didn't want to be with him. And so that broke his heart again. And every time he falls in love, he can't kiss. So, you know, you can have sex without kissing, so I don't really know what that's that big of a deal. Anyway, he's really horny all the time. It just comes across that way. But he is the Prince of Hearts, and so she seeks him out because she is like, my boyfriend is getting married to my stepsister, and instead of talking to either of them, or anyone necessarily, I'm going to go to the Prince of Hearts and have them cursed. She seeks him out. In his church, there's only one person in this Prince of Hearts church that randomly appears somewhere with a fucking random door. She goes inside, there's one man in there, in the back of the church, tearing off his clothes. Great start. Very gripping beginning. A man getting naked in front of God? Okay. It turns out he's the Prince of Hearts. He comes up to her and he says, no, he doesn't say anything. She says, it's you, she whispered. You're the Prince of Hearts, as if we didn't fucking know. And that just proves, right from the beginning, it sets the tone. Evangeline does not connect dots. She is really just living in the moment. She does not think back, ahead, or anything. She's just there. The what are they called? The Fates. The Fates are the people from the, like, a deck of cards or whatever. Honestly, I'm not really sure. I don't understand the lore. They disappeared centuries ago. Gotta get, you know, the phrasing right. They disappeared centuries ago, and because of her parents, who were from, or her mom was from a different continent. She was from the north, and in the north, allegedly, there's magic and fairy tales are alive and blah, 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 where she's in the south, and that's not the case. And so her mom always told her stories about the north, and she was like, no, the fates are real. They used to be on Earth, but they disappeared centuries ago, blah, blah, blah. But now they're back, okay? And the Prince of Hearts, his name is Jax, and we'll talk about him. His name is fucking Jax. Remove the S, drop it, leave it. Leave it. He's the Prince of Hearts, and he is obviously in this church that is his, and Evangeline already established that she believed in the fates, and she believes, or believed, no, she still believes, she's a believer, maybe. Fuck Justin Bieber. She established that she believes in the fates, that she believes the stories that her mom told her, and she's obviously in the church of the king. No, he's not the king, he's the prince. Who's the king? That is a good question. Where's the kings? And then there's one random man, and this church is like really odd looking. It's like white and everything. It's very particular and peculiar. That's a difficult word for me to say. Was this all a nasty joke? The fates had supposedly disappeared from the world centuries ago. See? That's what I told you. Yet everything Jax wore from his unit... Sorry, I'm not... My eyesight is really bad, right? I actually need glasses. I never wear them. So I'm like holding the book too far away. I can't even read it. Just put it up to your fucking face, bitch. It's not like anyone's bothered. Yet everything Jax wore, from his untied krawatte, to be say it in German, to his tall leather boots, were of the latest fashion? Fashionista? Her eyes darted around the white church at church as if Luke's friends might jump out at any moment to have a good laugh. Luke was the only son of a gentleman, and though he never acted as if that mattered with Evangeline, the young man he kept company with considered her beneath them. Oh, she's a peasant. Oh yeah, she is! Oh my god. There's a prophecy that's like a peasant turned princess, and then she's like, oh my god, this is about me. Because she becomes a princess later. And I just forgot about that and called her a peasant. I'm so sorry, girl. Brokey. What color is that? He waved vaguely towards her curls. It's rose gold, she answered brightly. Evangeline never let anyone make her feel bad about her unusual hair. Her stepmother was always trying to get her to color it brown, but Evangeline's hair, which is really odd to me, why would she color it brown? Just make it like a blonde. That's closer to rose gold. Why brown? That's very drastic. Just do it black. But Evangeline's hair, with its waves of soft pink, streaked through a pale gold, was the thing she liked best about her appearance. I'm not very fond of that. I don't really like that, and she keeps bringing it up. They used the term pixie at one point. It's not my thing. It's not my thing. Think? I'm not into thinking. She explains to Jax that the love of her life, her ex-boyfriend, or boyfriend, or whatever, is about to marry her stepsister, and that she wants him to stop the wedding at any cost. And he says, sure, I'll stop the wedding in exchange for 3 kisses. And she was like, oh my god, you're gonna kiss me, then I'm gonna die. And he goes, no, I don't wish to kiss you. It will kill you, and then you'd be no use to me. I want you to kiss 3 others, who I choose, when I choose. What sort of kisses? Little pecks or more? If you think that counts, maybe you haven't been kissed. It's not a real kiss if there isn't any tongue. I would not agree with that. She agrees, runs to the wedding to see if it was stopped by Jax, and sees that he turned everyone into stone. That's honestly kind of slay. I mean, you know, she didn't really give any details on how to stop it, what to do. She just said, stop it. Stop, get some help. And then everything happens pretty fast in the first 20 pages. So the premise of the book is that she makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts to stop her sister's wedding because the sister is marrying her boyfriend. And that's kind of where the premise ends, right? That's like the blurb ends. But it's way more than that because this all happens in the first 30 pages. And then everything after that just gets like increasingly more deranged. She sees that there is a goblet on the table with poison. It says, do not drink me. And she realizes that if she drinks this, she will turn to stone, but in return, everyone else will become human again and be unstoned. I want to save the boy I love. I'm just going to have to hope he'll decide to save me too. Before Jax could stop her, Evangeline drank. Dummy girl. She's a dummy through and through. That's in her bones. The poison tasted worse than it smelled, like burnt bones and lost hope. And yet again, I have to sit here and ask you, Miss Garber, what does lost hope taste like? What does it taste like? It was the same thing in Carawal. She was using these specific descriptions to describe smells and tastes and everything, and I hate it. It's not like making it more fairy tale-esque and more whimsical, or what did they use, enchanting, the words that they used in the praise. It's making me frustrated because I don't know what it tastes like. What does it taste like? It's very important for me to know. She stays a statue for 6 weeks. And then she wakes up. How long was I a statue? Only about 6 weeks. I'm the place potion master, and you're in my most excellent lab, but you can leave as soon as you tell me your name. Evangeline took a moment to collect her thoughts. 6 weeks meant they were in the middle of the hot season. The hot season, the magical summer, because for some reason we cannot say summer and we gotta use the hot season, so the children will know that it's summer. Sometimes I feel a little silly. when I complain about things like this, because like, isn't that deep? It really isn't. But she obviously did the same thing in Caraval because it's the same universe. Why would she call the season any different than they did in Caraval? But already then I complained about it because I was like, the hot season is really what you're gonna go for. This entire book, and we're only on page 35, feels like it was made for young, I was gonna say young adults. Well, hit the nail on the head. That's what it was made for. It was made for very young teens, okay? And I'm a 22-year-old woman reading this book, and it was not made for me. It was not made for my demographic. Now you could say, well, you're too fucking old to read YA anyway. Take it back. I know the gray hairs. I know you can see them. Keep it to yourself. YA, and I've talked about this in my vlog, YA is such a broad genre, okay? Now I need a bookmark. Let's use my Japanese learning cards. Meh. YA is such a broad genre in the sense that, what is YA? What is it classified as? I would say 14 to 17 is considered YA, or maybe even 13. But then the question is, how high does it go up to 17? Okay, when you're 18, you're an adult, you start reading new adult. That's not true. It doesn't work like that. Just because you turn 18, you don't feel any different than the day before when you were fucking 17. All of a sudden, you can't read YA anymore. It's not how it fucking works. Sometimes I feel like I'm not even breathing when I talk. Like, I'm just going and going. And so I think it's really interesting that with a book like Once Upon a Broken Heart and Caraval, it's very evident that this book was made for a younger teen audience. And I would let a like 12-year-old read this. I would. Peace and love. They've seen worse. It's YA, but it's young YA, and it reads like that. And so when people tell me that this book is their favorite book, I didn't give a disclaimer. That could get me in trouble. Oopsie. People like to hate more on you when you don't give a disclaimer. But I mean, if someone, and I talked about this in my vlog, go watch the vlog. If someone came up to me and said, this series is my favorite, or this book is my favorite, I would say, okay, what other books have you read? What's going on? But it's a very easy read. It's a very like enchanting, whimsical read, and it's just very easy, okay? And it's not particularly bad with the writing. It's just devastatingly boring is what I wanted to say. It's just really boring. And for some people, they sometimes just want an easy read that they can escape with and just immerse themselves in. Not that that worked for me with this book, but that's what I would think and I would understand it. I don't think this is peak fiction, and I don't think Stephanie thinks that either. Peace and love, Stephanie, you slay. But I'm not sure. If I'm being honest, I'm not even sure what point I'm trying to make. I'm just trying to say that this book is made for a young teen audience, and it's very evident when she uses the hot season. That's what we're complaining about. Why the fuck would you use that? Just say summer, or it's hot outside. Why is it called the hot season? What is spring called, and what is fall called? Mildly warm? The dude that saved her from being a statue is, of course, one of the Fates. His name is Poison, and he's the Poison Master. And I don't know if he plays a role in the other Caraval books too. Probably he does. He seems to be important. I don't think he makes another appearance, but I'm sure he does in the other books. So she gets saved by him. Then she meets with her. She goes out of the castle because she's in the castle, and downstairs there's a fest. No, wait, fest is German. There's a celebration. There's a celebration in her honor going on downstairs, and they're just celebrating that she is turned back into a human, because they all believe that she was just, that the girl, the stepsister, whose name I forgot, that she was just cursed by a fate, not by Evangeline. And that Evangeline was so selfless that she went ahead and saved her. Okay, let's speed this up a little bit. Outfit change and everything. I'm busy. She meets with her stepsister after she's human again, and her stepsister tells her that while she was a statue, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe, actually no, I don't want to think about it. I don't know the timeline with Caraval and this book. It confuses me. But her sister tells her, let's fuck Caraval, okay, fuck that. There was a week of terrors where all of the fates came to the city or the continent or the land or whatever where they are, I don't know the scale, and tried to take over. and overthrow the government, which does happen occasionally. But they were all banished to the north, to the other continent, and they're all gone, allegedly, okay? So that's what happened in the first week that she was a statue. Or is it a month of terrors? I think it would make more sense if it was a month. Now I'm not so confident anymore. Maybe they also, because 1 week is very short to try and overthrow a government. Did they just give up on a week, or what happened? I think it was a month. The sister then reveals that she actually tried to marry her ex-boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend of her stepsister, again, and he was mauled by a wolf. That was super random, in my opinion. Mauled by a wolf? That's very, how do you say, extreme? And then the dude felt so ugly and hideous that he decides to leave the country. I don't blame him. By the way, Evangeline is 17 and Jax, is he immortal? Maybe. But she kind of thinks about this whole new revelation that she got. Everyone celebrates her. She's now a national treasure because she was so selfless in saving them, even though she was the one who cursed them in the first place. No one knows this. But she's thinking about the marriage that didn't happen now. Because he was mauled by a wolf. Maybe it was fear that had paralyzed her tongue. Maybe, deep down, Evangeline feared that she and Luke weren't actually cursed, but he was just an unfaithful boy. It confused me because this is the only time that a reference like this is made where she calls him a boy. That is a grown-ass man. He's like 20. Okay? You don't have to call him a boy. And so you can tell by this that she still thinks, well, she's now kind of theorizing, but she still in her heart believes that her and Luke were cursed and that there was a spell put on him so that he would fall in love with her stepsister and marry her. That's what she believes. But even after he was turned back into a human, after he was stoned for like 2 seconds, he didn't try to save Evangeline. He tried to marry the sister again and then he fled the country. So maybe he isn't that good of a person. Maybe. Perhaps. She is then called to the palace, again, because the Caraval sisters are now ruling the kingdom. For whatever reason. I don't know how that happened. And they ask her, they're like, hey, we're kind of busy ruling the kingdom. How convenient would it be if we just send you to the north, because they are asking us to come visit, they invited us, because the prince of the north is looking for a bride. Because he has to find a bride to rule the kingdom. He's not allowed to marry it without a bride. Which is confusing. What if he's gay? No, but that's a weird-ass tradition. Like, you're not allowed to go onto the throne unless you find a fucking wife? I don't fuck with that tradition. Alas, she agrees. She's like, yeah, but I want to take my stepsister. Even though her and her stepsister have never gotten along that well. They have never really connected with each other. Not that they fought or anything. They just don't get, they're just not into each other. And also, the stepsister did try to marry her ex-boyfriend. So that's kind of an issue for them, I guess. But it's interesting because after all this time, she does mention that when she tried to go to Luke and talk to him about it, that he was engaged to her sister, he wouldn't open the door. He wouldn't talk to her. But she never tried to talk to her sister to figure out what was going on. Like, how did you meet? What was your first date like? Evangeline just kept thinking that Luke had also been hers. Once been hers. And though Evangeline has I can't read today, guys. You know what? Fuck that. I'm not gonna read it out. She's just thinking about it and she's like, I don't really understand why they were a thing, what was going on there. And she never asked her sister. She's never like, just ask a basic question. Just like, why? Just ask why. Why can't she ask why? There is a newspaper that spreads the most recent rumors and everything, and this is also a way for us to find out information and for Evangeline to find out information. And he publishes an article, the writer publishes an article before these celebrations begin, and they're like, oh my god, Evangeline is coming from the south, because now they're going to the magical north where the fates are, where Jax is, she hasn't seen him since she turned back human. And the prince is called Apollo, and then we get introduced to all of the potential brides and the favorites, and they all have very silly names. They're very silly, and it makes you wonder, why is Evangeline called Evangeline? Give her a silly name too, be a little silly. The first girl is Thessaly Fortuna. Thessaly. I've never heard that name before. I don't know if these are real names or not, He's in love with this name you slay. It's a little weird, but in a good way. Ariel Lagrimas. That's not that weird. The most weird one is the, oh my god, this is the foreign princess, so maybe I'm being insensitive. To the magical kingdom. Serendipity Skystead. Serendipity? And then it's just fucking Evangeline also pulling up. Gang, gang. And her sister, of course, too. And her sister actually has a really bad reputation. People are calling her the cursed bride because obviously she was cursed by Evangeline. Evangeline saw an unsettling shadow cross her stepsister's petite face. Petite. Small and cute. I have never heard of the expression petite face before. Have you? Like, petite body shape? Yeah. I get that, you know, that's not me, but I get that. But just a petite face is everything of her, like, everything else not petite? And why is that the word that we're choosing? Why not, like, solemn? You know what I mean? Like, petite seems a weird choice. Oh yes, my favorite line of this book, and you will not believe me when I tell you this, and I didn't see any, well, no one really watched the reading vlog, so it's like, obviously no one commented on it. I didn't get any views. No one watched it. She's at the first ball in the north with the prince, and everyone's there, and obviously, as I said, the fates have been exiled to the north, and so she meets Jax again, and we get a very striking, enchanting, and whimsical description of the way he looks. And with some of these things, it just makes me wonder, is Stephanie doing this for shits and giggles? Is she doing this to be, like, funny? Like, or is she truly being serious? I am not sure. Let's find out together. Evangeline might not have recognized him so quickly, but even his face looked colder than before. His lips were two wicked slashes. His eyes? Ice. Believe me, his eyes. Is my nail dirty? A little bit, sorry guys. His eyes. I always make fun of the icy blue ice, but genuinely writing his eyes is insane to me. Why not cold? Cold is not cold enough. We have to. What's colder than cold? Ice. Who's your editor? As we remember, she agreed to the terms and conditions of Jax's contract, which were, you have to do 3 kissy kisses of my choice, and then I will stop the wedding. And so this is the first kiss, and it's the prince. She has to kiss the prince, or else she will perish. She will die. Allegedly. I don't think she will. I don't think she would. She does kiss him, but I don't think she would die. She kisses him on the lips, and then he's stunned at first, but then he's all of a sudden, like, really into it. Like, oddly into it. Over the top into it. Where you're like, she's only ever kissed one person. Like, how good of a kisser can she be? Maybe it's the pink hair. I don't know. That does something to men. Of course, we get an amazing description to imagine this kiss in our head. Miss Garber says, he tasted like lust and night and something lost that should have stayed that way. I can't talk that loud about sex since my mom's outside. So he's really into it. Even Evangeline finds it kind of confusing, but not to an extent where she's like, oh, this must have something to do with Jax and him using some sort of magic or anything. She genuinely just thinks that she is the baddest bitch. And that she's that good of a kisser. She does question it a little bit, but only a little bit. You know, she doesn't, as I said, she's in the moment. She doesn't think ahead or behind. She's only in the moment. Then the prince decides, after their one kiss, to propose to her, which she agrees to, not reluctantly. It's like in front of everyone. And there was like a second ball, and he calls on someone. He was like, oh, I know I want to dance with you. And then it's some other girl, and she's in her head like, oh my god, fuck, why? We literally made out and almost fucked. And by the way, when they were making out, Jax was just watching the whole time. But even that doesn't seem weird to her. Some people you just can't help. This is like after a few days, you know? And no one thinks that this is weird. No one is like, maybe she put a spell on him. No one really thinks anything of it because she has pink hair and that's really pretty, apparently. I've done much more than that, Mr. Nightlinger. With a proud smile, the prince unbuttoned half of his shirt and spread it apart to reveal a vibrant tattoo of a pair of swords curved to form. Fuck, I fucking hate myself. Curved to form a heart that contained one name, Evangeline. He fucking tatted her name across his fucking chest. And this is not a thing that comes up again. We just forget about this. I wonder if in the second book and in the third book it's mentioned again that he has a fucking tattoo of her name on his fucking chest. It's insane. I think after this, she kind of realizes that this is a bit extreme, and she has a talk with Jax, and she realizes that he's under some influence from Jax, that this is not his feelings, but they are superficial, unnatural, not whimsical, not enchanting, They then proceed to visit a woman who's the grandmother or the mother of one of the other people that were contesting, and she threatens to kill Jax and Evangeline, and then Evangeline has to kiss her, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh my god, never mind, I love you, let me show you all of my belongings, and that way they get into a magical hidden crypt of this family, because they're like an ancient family, and then the spell starts wearing off of the woman, and she kind of starts getting like semi-conscious, and then this is the moment where she gets called a peasant, Evangeline. She recites a prophecy to her, realizing it's her, and I'm gonna read it out to you. It's only part of it, I think. You will know her because she will be crowned in rose gold. She will be both peasant and princess. That's the only thing she says, and allegedly this is a prophecy that was made, like, back in the day. Listen, you know, I don't really care about the lore. It was made back in the day by, like, the super powerful people that were banished all of their magic or whatever. Because, actually, I don't know if I told you this, or if this has come up at this point in the book, but Jax wants Evangeline because he knows about the prophecy, and he is making the prophecy come true by having her become princess and all of these things, because he wants her to open a gate. Because, coincidentally, Evangeline has the power to open any door with her blood, which is a little bit extreme with your blood. And I thought about this. I would keep like a vial of my blood wherever I went, just because it would be so inconvenient if I had to like do a little cut on my finger every single time, you know. Just a little suggestion for you, Evangeline. You know, it's fine. I'm just being generous. But he wants her to open a really old portal that's been closed for centuries, and that's why he has to have her fulfill the prophecy, so it finally opens. And then she's also a key to open every fucking door, so that's very convenient. So we already have the rose gold, the hair, and then we have the peasant, her, turned princess, her. Amazing, but there's another part of the prophecy. Just you wait. I don't know if I wrote it down. Also, allegedly, this prophecy, as I said, was made by the first people that ever lived in the north and were magical beings and very powerful, and then they were overthrown or whatever. And they made the prophecy. There were people that made the prophecy. And I feel like the prophecy is not odd enough. If I could make a prophecy to close a really important gate, and I would want to ensure that this gate was never opened again, I feel like this is too odd. Like, not extreme enough of a prophecy. It should be like, once she cuts off her head and loses 3 of her toes or some shit. Like, I would do something a little crazier. I haven't thought about one, but I'm sure I could think of something better than this. She proceeds to marry the prince, and he has a brother called Tiberius. Also a very strong name. And Tiberius and his brother, they had a falling out, and so he turns up, and everyone's like, oh my god, the brother is here, and then he dances with Evangeline, says some sussy things about his brother, and leaves again. We don't really care about him. He turns up later, but you just know that he has like there's something going on with him. Jax had promised her that once they proceeded with the wedding and fulfilled the wedding, he would break the spell that he had put on the prince. And so she begs him to do this and follow through on his promise, and he does. So she goes up to the room for the wedding night, and then they kiss, her and the prince, and then the spell wears off and the prince dies. So that was really bad. He's obviously not really dead. He's just kind of dead. He's just a little bit dead. He's just like in a coma. His heart still beats to the beat of the drums. What a shame that you came here with someone. But she doesn't notice in the moment. The very end, like, big reveal of the book is that the prince is still alive. But this is the first fucking book, and it's like, of course he's alive. We need some plot. We need some, you know. Jax also then reveals after this, because she obviously goes to him and is like, the prince fucking died. Did you kill him? And he's like, no, I didn't kill him. I didn't, what the fuck, why would I do that? And she's like, well, because you're evil. And he's like, ugh, you know, I didn't do anything. And then he reveals that The kisses, he was just kind of doing it for the goofs and gaffs. She didn't really have to kiss anyone. Like, there's no use in her kissing anyone. He was just kind of doing it because he thought it was funny. Maybe he likes watching. Maybe. And he reveals that his actual power is that he can control people's emotions. And that is what he was doing with Apollo the whole time. So he was using his magic on him the entire fucking time. And then he was also using it on that other woman that she kissed in the basement of her heirlooms, whatever. I don't really know what was going on there. The one that called her a peasant, that's the one. But he also says that his power is much weaker in the north, and that is why he probably couldn't do much magic, because he was already using it all up on Apollo, keeping that up with Evangeline over a long course of time, and he was kind of drained with magic. Well, we imagine. I think Evangeline hypothesizes that. She also consumed some of the poison that Apollo consumed. It was like in a drink or something, and so she is rushed to a healer, which is also a fate, which she didn't know because she befriended her at the party, at the ball party. Doesn't really matter, we don't talk about her. And then she meets her and she heals her, and she's like, oh my god, you have to have human contact or else you will perish. I think I'm going to start using that word instead of dying because I think it sounds a little bit more dramatic. I really like it. You will die if you are not in close human contact. And so Jax holds her throughout the whole night, even though he hates her. Maybe they don't hate each other. If you watched my reading vlog, I was hypothesizing, which you probably didn't because again I didn't get any views. Please go watch that. I was being really funny in it. I was thinking about the fact that it felt really weird to me how there was such a hyperfixation on blood and teeth and biting that it made me think of vampires. And I am a vampire hater. I am a vampire hater. Every vampire book I've ever read is shit. Was shit? It still exists, so it still is shit. Crave, Serpent on Wings at Night. That's about the extent of vampire books that I've read, and they were both bad. And so I'm a vampire hater, though I do like watching Twilight occasionally. Especially with the weather getting cold, I really like watching it. Gotta be honest. In my little bed. And I thought that Jax was a vampire, but he's not. But there are vampires in this book. And so I think it's really weird that Jax is so focused on blood and biting and everything. I don't know if there's like other blood-focused creatures in this book. I don't even know what a fate is, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't know if they're immortal or anything. We don't really know. Maybe it's more in Karabat, but again, I didn't read it and I don't care. Thanks for talking about it with me. Love you. Chaos is as old as the North, and unlike the rest of us, he was never trapped in a deck of cards, which is apparently also something that happened. He's been here all this time, collecting favors and people and information. If anyone knows who wanted you and Apollo dead, it will be Chaos. He's the Lord of Spies and Assassins. He's also a vampire, Lala supplied dryly. So this is around, oh okay, it's over half of the book, well never mind. It's about halfway through. We kind of start switching from, I don't even know what the plot was in the beginning. There was no plot for like half of the book. It was just her kind of hanging out, and then Apollo dies, and then it switches to, let's find out who killed Apollo and tried to kill me. And then obviously we get the reveal that there are vampires, and it's some other dude that's a vampire, but still I think it's a win. A win is a win. Her stepsister has been sassy this entire book, right? And her name is Marisol, by the way. I just read it. Because I was like, I don't remember her name. She does have a name. It started when she tried to marry her boyfriend, for example. That was really sus. So then she was just kind of insinuating weird things. For example, when, what's her name? Evangeline. There's too many names. Evangeline was putting on her dress for the first ball night. Marisol wasn't allowed to come for some reason. And then she was like, oh, what a beautiful dress. And it had like flowers in it. And Marisol just like grabs one of the flowers and pulls it out and like squishes it. And eventually it's kind of like, okay, what was that about? But she doesn't say anything. It's like, okay, that happened. I'm not sure where I stopped. So, apologies. There's not much left. As I said, we're in the last stretch of the book, the last third, and everything happens really quickly. It's like there's not really a plot in the beginning, and until the dude dies. And then after he dies, which is again the last third, we finally have a plot, which is let's figure out who murdered him and tried to murder. This started great. Try to figure out who tried to murder her. right? And so that is our goal now. Finally, we have a plot to follow. We have a plot line going on. Because before that, quite frankly, she was just hanging out. She was just kind of, you know, doing her little thing, being a little silly. Nothing wrong with that, but I do get bored when in a book people just hang out and do nothing. I think the last thing I talked about was something related to the sister, and also I feel like I should change the batteries of this. But I did wash my hair, guys. I told you, I washed my hair. Her sister has been really sus the entire book. I did mention the flower that she ripped out of the dress, and just every time they talk, Evangeline notices that the sister is being kind of weird and disingenuous. It's just the way she's talking and the way she's looking, it just comes across like she doesn't really mean the things she's saying. And so there is this little bit of doubt in her that maybe her sister put a love spell on her ex-boyfriend that she was going to marry because she was jealous and wanted to marry him. And then also Jax keeps telling her, oh yeah, your sister is like a bitch. She's like so sus, but he doesn't really specify. He doesn't really tell her what he knows. And obviously she's in the know with her, and she actually saw the sister like have a book on her table. It was like a cooking or baking book, and she didn't really think anything of it until she finds the same book somewhere else with Jax, and she's like, oh my god, my sister was reading that. And then he's like, I hope she wasn't, because that's literally like a spell book with dark magic in it, with curses. And then eventually he's like, oh. Well, at this point she is kind of playing with the thought that maybe her sister was the one that tried to kill her and eventually killed the prince because she was jealous, but we don't know. So they have to find out, and they're going to the Vampire King. Jax warns her to not look into the vampire dude's eyes, because that way they kind of control you. If you look into their eyes, you give them access to your soul or whatever, and then they're able to control you. And he tells her just like a page or so earlier, like, don't look into a vampire's eyes. You're weak. He will try to seduce you and make you his slave or whatever. And the first thing she does is, when she sees Chaos, is look into his eyes. She'd made the mistake of looking into Chaos's eyes, although as soon as she had done it, it didn't feel like a mistake. How could eyes so magnificent be a mistake? They were bottle green. Bottle green? Okay. And brilliant, with slivers of gold that made it look as if they'd been shot through broken pieces of stars? Y'all, you know her descriptions. I don't know what she's saying. Also, the Chaos dude is like wearing a mask the whole time that forbids him from eating Skinny King. It's so he doesn't bite anyone. I'm not really sure why. Do we know that? Do we know why he's wearing the mask? What happened that he has to wear it? Is he like cursed or something? We don't know. Maybe they talked about it in the other books, but he hasn't eaten from a human, even though he's a vampire, in a very, very long time. He's very hungry. And it makes me wonder, can't they just die of hunger? I feel like vampires should be able to starve. And at this point, things get kind of radicalized, I would say, because we go into this underground dungeon from the vampires. Obviously, they are in an underground dungeon. They are vampires, you know? Scary. Oh my god, it's Halloween soon. Well, it's great that I'm reading this book. It's very spooky. She watches kind of from a balcony, I think, that they're a chessboard, a human-sized chessboard. And she sees that there's vampires on there and humans. And humans are also hanging from cages from the ceiling and shit like that. But anyway, she's watching these vampires and humans stand in front of each other. And in her head, she's like, I hope they're playing kissing chess. Because that's apparently a thing. They obviously don't play kissing chess. Chess? Well, that's a whole new game. They obviously don't play kissing chess. The vampires charge at the humans and run to them. I'm not really sure the point of this, if I'm being honest. Like, why are they standing opposites on a chessboard? And then they, like, run into each other. What? Just do it. Like, what is the point of that? They then bite the humans, and the humans get caged up at the ceiling. And this is because they're being turned into vampires. They were just bitten with venom to be turned into vampires. And they have to make it out of the cages to then drink human blood, otherwise they will not turn into a vampire, and they will be killed when the sun comes up. And I thought that it meant that they would just die. If they don't drink vampire blood, they will die. Like in Vampire Diaries. No, human blood. Sorry. Ugh, so much blood. But they are not going to die. Because it happens to Jax. He gets bitten, and then he doesn't bite a human, and he doesn't turn into a vampire. He just lives on normally, which I think is really weird. And the big revelation that we find out here is that her ex-boyfriend is there. The one that tried to marry her sister. Super randomly, he comes back up again. I mean, it was obvious that he was going to make a reappearance. And they see each other, and then he's like, I don't even know how, they're like on the chessboard all of a sudden or something, but they're talking to each other. And he says, please help me get out of this cage. I promise I won't bite you. I'm so sorry for what happened. Your sister actually put a love spell on me, and the vampire venom removed that spell from me. And also, the reason he wants to become a vampire is because, remember, he got mauled by a wolf. And it was so his scars would get removed. This is such an insane plotline. For some reason, I don't really understand it. I don't understand her reasoning. Evangeline decides to help him get out of the cage. It's literally a vampire craving blood in there. She's a human. He's saying, I promise I won't bite you. And she's like, I'll take your word for it, king. Opens the cage. She gives him like a sword, and he opens the cage. And then he's like, sorry, never mind. And tries to bite her. Obviously. I don't know why she keeps giving people so many chances. You know what I mean? It's like, at some point you gotta get self-aware. Thank God we have one self-aware king in here, which is Jax in this one scene. I didn't realize it until tonight, until the vampire venom was in me and suddenly my head cleared. I can't describe what it was like before. All I know was that your stepsister was all that I could think about. She was the reason I came here. I needed to be perfect for her. After I got mauled by the wolf, my scars weren't sexy scars. And then Jack says, he just said sexy scars. Are you really listening to this? I mean, you know, thank God he's there to point this out. Obviously, she frees him because Evangeline is a character that's just... I think she's supposed to be a little bit naive, and she's just supposed to be a very good person that believes in the best in people. But peace and love, like, sometimes you gotta be realistic. You know what I mean? You can't be the best person ever and not free your ex-boyfriend who's turning into a vampire and wanting to crave? No, he is craving your blood. And free him from the fucking cage. Leave him in there. He'll figure it out. Jax obviously saves her. As I said, he gets bitten by a vampire venom, and I thought that was it for him. I thought he was gonna die, but he doesn't, because he just has to resist the urge to drink human blood until the morning, and then the venom goes away, or something. I don't really know where it goes. Maybe he pees it out. So he does bite Jax, and then Jax breaks his neck. Peace and love, slay. I'm pretty sure that he's not dead, because he's a vampire now. He did bite someone, which is Jax, and consumed his blood, which makes him a full vampire, and I don't think breaking his neck is gonna kill him. Oh my god. The next page reads, I wish I'd killed him, but I didn't. He's a full-fledged vampire now. Okay, queen. I just didn't read. I was coming to my own conclusion. It literally says it on the page. And then, after this, okay, this man attacked them. Everything just happened. To take something, to permanently kill him, cut off his head or whatever. And then Evangeline stops him and says, I won't let you end his life. Luke is the first boy I loved, and I'm not responsible for his choices. But this wouldn't have happened if it weren't for me. Let him live, and I'll leave without any more stops or arguments. Bitch, are you being serious? Are you being for real? I don't know how anyone can read this and be like, I love Evangeline. She's just so nice. This man tried to kill you. This man tried to marry your stepsister. This is gonna bite her in the ass in the next book. But I will never find out because I won't read it. They walk somewhere after this incident. They're leaving, right? And in her head, Evangeline is like, oh my god, why is Jax not talking to me? Why is he mad? He doesn't even like me. Why is he mad at me? Maybe because he was just bitten by a fucking vampire. Peace and love. I would have, honestly, if I were Jax, I would have let her die. Oh no, he can't because he needs her. I would have had her turn into, oh no, can she turn into a vampire? Whatever. Honestly, I would have let her die. I would have let the fucking prophecy die with her. I would be annoyed as fuck. Evangeline wanted to argue. She didn't care that Jax was clearly right about Luke and that she had actually believed him about not having made a deal with Marisol, which gave her an unexpected feeling of relief. But Jax still didn't have to be so cruel about it just because she couldn't shut off her feelings the way he did. I fucking hate her. Immediately after this, you know, Jax is infected. He gets blood horny. He really wants to bite her. We have some tension between them. They don't really do anything. He's like in a crypt and then he licks her a little, like her neck and shit. which I wasn't really into. Didn't think it was very hot. I just don't think Jack's very hot, because I didn't even mention it, but he does dye his hair blue. This was unintentional. And I don't feel that vibe of blue hair. I talked about it in my vlog. I just don't. It's so hard to get out. It's not it. Peace and love. After this incident, it turns out that her sister is now engaged to the crown prince. The other one, the brother, the sussy brother. The sussy sister is engaged to the sussy brother. Evangeline is now going to the castle by herself, because she is wanted for murder, actually. But that's not why she's going. She wants to meet her sister and talk to her, because she found out about the fucking love spell that she put on the ex-boyfriend and everything. This is the very end of the book. Jax isn't coming with her because he is knocked out after the vampire venom, and then she accidentally goes into his apartment. Out of all of the apartments, she makes it to his apartment, and obviously she can open any door with her blood, so she enters, finds a book, a spell book, finds a recipe for a truth serum, and decides to make it and give this truth serum to the crown prince, the new crown prince, and have him reveal that he is also under a spell from Marisol, because Evangeline believes at this point that the killer was Marisol. I don't even know what the other dude told her, what Chaos told her. I kind of skipped over that because I really don't care for that man. But that is her plan. So instead of thinking, oh, I'm gonna make a truth serum for both my sister and the crown prince, I'm just gonna make one for the crown prince and have him confess. I would honestly just make like an infinite number of truth serums, because peace and love, like, why wouldn't I? Have everyone speak the truth. Find out everything. Again, she goes to the castle alone. She's now actively wanted for murder, but she still decides that she should go by herself and leave Jax behind because he's sleepy. Let a man sleep. Okay, I didn't really write anything else down, so I have to remember how the book ended. Her sister says, I did pull a spell on Luke, the ex-boyfriend, and that is it. I didn't put the spell on the other crown, on like the new crown prince to make him love me, only the ex-boyfriend to make him marry me, because I was jealous of you. And then, for some reason, Evangeline feels the need to confess that she cursed her and made her turn to stone. No idea why. She just feels so guilty. She's like, I'm gonna confess. You're confessing something to me. I'm gonna tell you I was the one that turned you into stone. Which is terrible. And then her sister, rightfully so, throws her into the fucking dungeon. And in that dungeon, she is for all about like 2 seconds before the crown prince comes. She somehow tricked him into drinking the truth serum. And he reveals that he is the one that killed Apollo, not the sister. Okay. I'm not sure what this information means. I'm not sure why he did it. I actually forgot. We don't really care though. Do we? Do you care? You can Google it. And even though the sister said that she didn't put the crown prince under any spell, as soon as he sees the sister, Marisol, he's like, get her away from me. I never want to see her again. Which suggests that she did put a spell on him and she lied about it. Or maybe he's pretending like she's done that for some reason. I don't really know. I'm thinking too hard about this book. I don't think it's that difficult to figure out, but I just, you know, I don't even know what I'm saying. Anyway, he confesses that he killed Apollo. He's immediately thrown into the dungeons, and Evangeline is again crowned as princess. Everyone forgives her for, well, she didn't murder anyone. So they're like, sorry, we accused you of murder. And she finds out by the end of the book that Apollo is still alive and that he's just kind of in a coma. And she gets this revealed to her by some other random side characters that are going to play a role in the next book, but we don't care about them. And the book ends on a chapter? Okay, girl. Let's just see what the book ends on. Why am I talking out of my ass? Oh my god, there's a preview for the next book. Hey, dear Evangeline. Why did she write a fucking letter to herself? Oh my god, wait, Jax poisoned Apollo? I didn't know. You know what? Now that I read that, I do remember that Apollo was the one that actually did everything. She kind of has this revelation literally on page 401 out of 405 where she says her stomach dropped. At that moment, she knew Jax would know that Evangeline could never leave Apollo in this state. This was why Jax had left him alive. Apollo was Jax's bargaining chip. If Jax had done this to Apollo, then he could undo it. And Evangeline knew exactly what Jax would want in exchange for this help. Jax wanted her to willingly open the Valerie arc, and she would, by the way, you know, when I read things out, I literally just put words in and leave words out. I just realized this. It's not what this is not what that says. It's kind of sinngemäß. What is sinngemäß in English? I don't know. It's kind of the same. Jax wanted her willing blood, that's what it says, to open the Valerie arc, and she would have bet anything this was how he planned to get it. He'd poisoned Apollo to manipulate her. Evangeline didn't know if she wanted to laugh or cry. She knew what Jax was, blah blah blah. Jax is the bad guy. Jax was not her friend, but he thought her that she could open any door she wanted, and Evangeline knew exactly which door she needed to open next. And then she goes into the castle library. There's a very secret door. That's not that secret, everyone knows it's there. And it contains all of the history that's been erased from the North. You know, we talked about the One Piece reference. I put my poster up in the back. Represent. Oh my god, she does like a full fucking recap. That's really poorly written. Peace and love, Steph. Then that's how the book ends, with her finally opening that door, and then she's gonna read about what it says in there in the next book, I'm sure. And we're not gonna read the next book because we don't care. You know she's gonna end up with Jax. Peace and love. I've seen a lot of debate about this, where people were like, oh my god, I'm so scared that now that the last book is coming out, Evangeline and Jax are not gonna have a happy end. They're not gonna stay together. Peace and love. This is still Stephanie Garber. Do you think she's gonna rob you of that? She's not. I can tell. And you know, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I think I'm right. And that's it. That's how the book ends. Does anyone want this? I don't need it anymore. I don't know if I was being too harsh on the book. It's just a very easy read. A very, like, enchanting and whimsical read. But it's just very boring. You know, it's very boring. And there's much better things out there. I haven't found them yet, but there are. As I mentioned before, I will put up a poll for my next reads. I don't really have anything else to say about this book, by the way. It was the same with Caraval. I remember reading that book and taking notes and feeling kind of weird because I felt like I didn't have enough notes. And by the way it was going, I was gonna make like a 5-minute video to talk about the book because nothing was going on. It was so boring. So it's the same with this one. I talked about I said everything I needed to say. I think that Stephanie didn't develop her writing at all from when Caraval came out 3 years prior to this book. Or 2 or 3. How many? I think 3. And 3 years and 3 books is a long time to change your writing. Or not completely change it, but just better it. Just, how do you say, expand your writing and everything. And I just think that that was not the case for her. And I imagine it's also not the case for the last book in this series now. Which, you know, for better or for worse. I don't really know if she needs it. It depends on whatever she writes next. If it's gonna be, as far as I'm concerned, it's something similar. And if it works for her, it works for her. But it was really crazy to me just to see that there was like no growth. And that sounds really mean. I know it sounds really mean, but obviously it works for her, so it's fine. It's not like she's running out of a job. Like, she's writing books and she's a best-selling author. It's fine. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. So thank you to my members. Thank you to everyone who is watching. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Goodreads. It's all down below. Watch my other videos. And leave a comment and leave a like and leave a subscribe and become a member. And that's it. If you become a member, you get to vote on my next read. If that's something you want to do. And see my videos a day early. Which is also late. if I do say so myself. Thank you so much for watching. I love you so much. I appreciate you. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Peace. Peace and love, and maybe I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye.